Hi, I'm Dr. Margriet Barnard, your host of the Birth and Baby Show, brought to you by Sister Lillian Center and Sensitive Midwifery. We empower moms, midwives, and birth workers to have the best birthing and parenting experience through natural, physiological, and intuitive care, resulting in birth and baby advice you can trust. Welcome everyone to another episode of the Birth and Baby Advice You Can Trust show. And for today I have a very special guest, and her name is Jude Polak. And I know her from back in the day when I for the first time heard there is this beautiful midwife-led birthing center opening in Johannesburg. And I traveled all the way from Jeffreys Bay to go visit this place and see what it's about, because I am so passionate about these settings. We need them everywhere. And as some of you might know, there are rumors out there that Genesis is reopening its doors. So I wanted to get hold of her and hear the story from her herself. So welcome, Jude.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited to hear your story. I know very little about you. I just know you've done amazing work with opening Genesis. It has really set midwifery on the cards in South Africa. And everywhere in Joburg where I go, there are mommies. They say, yeah, I've given birth in Genesis. And it has just made midwife-led care and natural birthing so tangible. So tell us a bit more about yourself and your journey with Genesis.
Okay, my journey with Genesis was completely accidental. So I didn't go into any kind of studies to work in maternity care. I have a very useful degree in political science that I've never used. And actually it came from my own birth experiences. So I had a beautiful water birth with a midwife at an existing birth clinic in Joburg 20 years ago when my daughter was born. And a year later when my son was born, that facility was full. So I still had my midwife, but I was sent to one of the hospitals, which is what happens when your facility is full. And we were just a little astounded by the treatment, that it wasn't, I'm not sick when I'm pregnant. Birth is not a medical emergency unless I am sick and there is an emergency. And we just were treated very differently. So my husband and I walked out of that birth with my son and thought, well, how hard can it be? We'll build a hospital. It turned out to be very hard. And it took us about 2 years the first time around to get licensed and built. And in the early days, people really did think of us as being completely fringe. I think people heard the word midwife and they thought somebody was going to ask you to squat and bite on a stick kind of thing, you know. And it took a while to get the public to start understanding that in fact midwives are, for healthy women, the better qualified caregiver. Yes. You know, they're more equipped to deal with a birth for a healthy woman with an uncomplicated pregnancy and birth.
Yes.
And so you're right, we did grow, we became a hub for all the private midwives.
And when was that, Jude?
So that was in 2008.
Yes.
And then I ran that as the hospital manager for 8 years, 5,000 babies in that time. And we got to do cool things also, like getting our outcomes studied against the outcomes of low-risk moms in hospitals, to be able to show and present to the South African College of Gynecologists that our outcomes were actually better. Better for mom, better for baby, for a low-risk mom to be in that kind of environment.
Amazing, yes. Yeah. And you said in the beginning there was probably not as much traction, so that you really needed to prove yourself in the market.
Yes, we did, and it was nerve-wracking because we had put everything on the line. We did it as a personal endeavor, so I kind of mortgaged my own home and pulled in whatever I could. And bought the property long before we had a license, so it was kind of a jump off a cliff and then find the parachute kind of thing. And then in those early days, waiting to see, you know, whether people would come. There were weeks where it was really busy. There were weeks where it was really quiet, and it was very nerve-wracking.
Yes.
Now, and I might be jumping ahead in the conversation, but we are about to reopen it, and this time we have the opposite problem. We know that we're going to open doors to a full unit.
Yes.
And we're already looking at ways where we can create additional space. That's the difference from, you know, almost 20 years ago to now.
I love that your story started with a personal motivation, because you need to have that, and passion and drive and vision, because there are so many things that would make you want to stop, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So we obviously all curious why did Genesis then stopped being Genesis with you?
Yeah, so I had family obligations that took me to the UK for 6.5 years. So we sold it to Life Healthcare, and at the time that they bought it, their intention was to take the model as it existed and open additional Genesis clinics in other settings, in other cities. And I think in the beginning that started out well, and then COVID hit and the hospitals all turned their attentions, the hospital groups turned their attention to other things. And then when they sort of came back after COVID, there was a new manager put in place at Genesis. The people who were going to drive the midwife project had, as I understand it, left. And what they then had was a facility that doesn't really fit with Life Healthcare's model of care. They are excellent healthcare providers in a tertiary hospital setting. That's what they do. They run these hundreds of beds tertiary hospitals.
Yes.
And they couldn't quite, I think, fit the individual nature of what a midwife-led centre needs to be.
Yes.
So as they were introducing more hospital policies into that environment, it, I think, stopped being what Genesis had been. And for whatever reasons, that led them to a path of deciding to close the facility.
Yes, I think that's a very important point that we need to always take home, and that everyone needs to know that midwife-led care is quite unique. And it needs to be run by midwives that understand it completely, or someone like yourself, obviously, but that is still the mindset shift that needs to happen, I think, with all our hospital maternities. It's very different. Can you try to explain to what is Genesis then? Why is it so different?
Okay, so essentially, what we're providing is literally just the environment and a trained set of eyes. And what that means is we need to have a separate set of policies and protocols for our healthy, low-risk moms.
Yes.
And so we at Genesis run what's called a dual protocol. When you come in, we don't refer to you as a patient. You are a client. You are admitted. And essentially, our focus is on creating privacy, safety, all of the things we know are going to speed up your labor, make it run more smoothly, make it feel less painful, and increase your chances of a successful delivery. Only at the point where there's a complication. And that's what midwives are trained to do, right? They're trained to spot when something is not going well. Then we have a full medical team on backup, and you then become a patient.
Correct.
And then you are cared for with a different set of policies and protocols. So if you are in as a client and you're healthy and you've had a normal birth, we're not going to come in and wake you up and put a blood pressure machine on and do every 3 hours through the night. We're not going to prick your baby every 3 hours through the night. We're just going to create a safe space for your family to have this birth.
Yes.
If you need medical care, then that's going to be a slightly different experience. It's still going to be done respectfully, in a little bit more of a gentle way than I think is sometimes done in a hospital setting. But the fact that we have two sets of protocols allows us to do what we do. And hospitals, that's where they run into troubles, I think.
Exactly, yeah, that is a very good point. Wherever I go for training in hospital settings with midwives, this is the issue you come across. Because they know that you need to have the more natural approach, but yet they're bound to protocols, and that always puts them in a tight corner.
Yeah.
So we end up treating everyone as a patient and more of a high-risk medical case.
Yes.
Because that is sort of what needs to be done for everyone, and we're making low-risk people high, medical cases.
We are.
Yeah. So we need midwife-led units everywhere. So I'm very excited that Genesis is Rebirth.
Yes.
And tell us more about it. Like, when is it happening, and what is it happening?
Timing was really, really interesting, and it leads me to believe that this is just all as it's meant to be.
Yes.
I came back from the UK. Both of my parents have passed on, and I love Joburg, and so I'm home and never leaving again. And I thought that I was kind of settled into a fairly quiet life. I started teaching antenatal classes. I have 3 teenagers at home. And I think about 6 months after I got back, Life Healthcare announced that they were closing Genesis down, and my phone exploded. Everybody, we heard that you've just arrived back in the country and Life is closing it down. So what is different this time, which is really exciting, is we're doing this project as a collaborative. So private midwives have come in as people involved in investing or working on it or being involved in the setup. Previous staff members, some of the doctors. So this time round, the clinic is owned by the practitioners, the staff, the midwives, and we've worked collaboratively to bring it back. So we brought back the site of the original Genesis. We're in the process of doing all of our renovations to give it a bit of a facelift. It was originally built 20 years ago, so it needed a little bit of tender love and care, and we've had to go through the whole process of relicensing it with the Department of Health.
Sure.
Because we didn't acquire the business. That was closed. The practice was closed. It stood empty for a year. So we are effectively opening from scratch a new facility.
Wow.
So it's been back from the beginning, starting with the license application, the building, etc.
Wow, well done.
Yes. So not what I thought I would be doing at this time of my life, but what an honor to be doing it second time around. And the second time around, I guess there'll be new mistakes, but we know from experience, you know, what was challenging, what worked, what didn't work last time around.
Yes.
So it's really cool as a business person to have an opportunity to do it second time around.
Amazing. Wow, I love that. Life just throws you these curveballs.
Yes.
That's amazing. No, so you're coming back with a big bang and stronger than ever, I believe.
Yes.
Yes. So what is your vision for Genesis?
So the vision is to broaden the offering a little bit. So our initial part of the project is literally just to reopen the midwife obstetric unit. That said, as I've got older, my passions have run beyond just respectful maternity care to actually respectful women's health care. And we know that women do not have access to healthcare as quickly, promptly as men do. So, for example, endometriosis is one of the projects we're working on. That takes on average 7 years to get an accurate diagnosis. Women will go back and go back and go back to doctors. They'll be given pain control. They'll be put on birth control. It takes a long time for women to be taken seriously and have their healthcare needs met. So we've actually acquired a second property, and we will be looking at broader, non-invasive women's healthcare offerings. And once we've got that complete, so you'll see our new slogan is Women's Healthcare and Beautiful Birth.
I saw that.
Yes.
Yes.
And then, of course, the long-term vision is to take it out to other areas in South Africa.
Yes.
So that women across the country have access to it.
Yes, that is amazing. I hope you have a strong team.
We do. And what has been interesting is how many of our original team have come back. So a lot of the staff that we'll be opening with are our original staff, and how many more midwives there are, how many more doulas there are, how many more allied practitioners there are who now want to be involved. So as I say, I think this time around it's going to be less a concern of, you know, are we going to get and more a concern of, are we going to make enough space for all of the people? And we will. Yes. We absolutely will.
Yes, I have no doubt. So for our birth workers listening, midwives, doulas, doctors, if they want to get involved, is that possible, or?
Absolutely.
And how?
Absolutely. So I'll give you my contact details, and
yes.
you can put that alongside, or you're welcome to put that out. We are, in fact, at the moment, we are looking for midwifery staff. So all of our admin and management we already have in place, and we have our first batch of staff midwives, but we do still have a few openings there. So
okay,
you know anyone
great
looking
opportunity for our sensitive midwives.
And I want to say the invite there is for people who come into our space to acknowledge that we don't provide maternity care the way the hospitals do.
Yes.
And so actually we recognize that nurses and midwives come with an incredible skill set, but we do retrain.
They need to unlearn.
Everyone who comes, there is an unlearning.
Yes.
There is an unlearning. A lot of our midwives are working as obstetric nurses,
yes.
As doctors' assistants, you know, and
yes.
in this particular space, we're wanting midwives to do what they do, which is to facilitate physiological birth.
Exactly.
Yes. And last time around, we saw a lot of our staff midwives who worked for us at Genesis have become the new generation of independent midwives in Joburg,
yes.
which is amazing.
Yeah, you've created that space where they can get exposed to that
yes.
and get confidence.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, I can see good collaboration here. I'm happy to help you
Yes.
train those midwives.
Excellent.
Because that's what we do.
That's what you guys
what
do
we're passionate
well.
about.
Yeah.
Wonderful. And then doulas is obviously part and parcel of your staff, or is
Correct, yes. So we on every shift have our own midwife. You would come into the facility with your independent midwife. So like in a hospital environment where a mom has her gynecologist, for us you have your midwife, your private midwife as your primary carer. Mm-hmm. We obviously then have midwifery staff as well. And we have doulas on staff. Now, our doulas are there in a supportive role for the midwives more, but they inevitably land up supporting the moms.
Yes.
It doesn't mean that moms don't have the option to bring in their own personal doulas as well. Right. And I know a lot of the private midwives have specific doulas they team up with, that they work with, and that's something that we're always open to.
Yes. Wonderful. And then for the mummies, I'm sure everyone is wanting to know, like, when can I book my
Absolutely.
birthday?
So we made the public announcement, I think now a week or two ago, that we are on our way back, relaunching Genesis. And we would love to be able to give you guys a date. But we know when we will be ready. And once that happens, it is then in the hands of the Departments of Health. So every step of the way, when you first want to open a facility, the department has to give you what's called an agreement in principle. So that's the first step of licensing, to say that it's needed, it's going to be a good use of resources, it's going to be well managed. Then they come and check while you're building or renovating. And then they come again and check when you're commissioning, as in are you getting all the right equipment, staff, stock, policies, etc. And then literally from the day you're ready to open, they need to come and do a final inspection and sign you off. And that can be a couple of days, it can be a couple of weeks. And so what we don't want to do is put a date that we think and then have, moms who think they're coming to Genesis and are not able to. So what we are saying is we'll let people know in the next couple of weeks. They'll be able to start making bookings with the prerequisite that you have a backup plan. So you have another facility that you're able to go to, and if you need to go to that other facility, we would not charge you a booking fee. If we're open in time and you're able to come to us and you've lost a booking fee, we also won't charge you a booking fee. So we're going to make sure that you don't lose out financially, and then only once we actually have a Department of Health inspection date, that will be the announcement.
I'm sure there's so many different factors that's just out of your control that you need to be careful by putting a date out.
I tell this story just so people know I'm not being overcautious. The first time we opened Genesis Clinic, we had a date and we had the Department of Health inspection lined up. They came and inspected everything. We had our full staff. Everyone was in their uniform. Everything was on the shelves. The beds were made up. And there was one air vent in the operating theatre that they felt facing the wrong direction, which meant we had to decommission the theatre, pull the vinyl off the walls, rebuild an air vent, re-vinyl the theatre, recommission it, re-sterilize everything. And it was then another 3 or 4 weeks before they came back. And every mom who birthed in those 3 or 4 weeks, I went home and cried. Because, there was this huge expectation that had been built and we had to keep our staff busy for 4 weeks as well.
Yes.
So we know this time round, I'm going to be cautious.
Yes.
And I know there are going to be some people who just miss it, who may be disappointed. But we're going as fast as we can.
That's life, yes. Yeah, no, wonderful.
And I would also say to those moms, yes, it's beautiful to have your baby in an environment like Genesis, but if you've got your midwife, and there are other facilities making space for midwives to deliver, know that your birth is about you and your body and your partner and your baby and your midwife. And if that's not at Genesis, that's absolutely fine.
Exactly.
Right? It still can be an absolutely beautiful thing, I have no doubt.
Yeah, no, that is very good advice to put that out there. I think when Genesis put midwifery on the map for South Africa, like, hey, this is not just like a little hippie back way thing. This is the way it should be. And then with it closing for a bit, I really feel like midwifery in Gauteng has really stepped up. Like there are so many more options. There's so many little birth centers in communities everywhere. So it is just great that we're having more and more options, because there need to be options for women, you know. And if we promote natural birth, but there's nowhere where they can go to get it, then, you know, we can just, well, stop promoting it.
Yeah, and I've had people reach out to me, you know, over the recent years to say, I'm thinking of opening a birth center in this city or over here, and can you give me advice? And I will give them all the advice. I will tell you exactly what you need to do. I will walk you through the steps. And I've had people say to me, you know, why would you do that? It's your business. It's not my business. We need as many of these as possible. We need it available to as many women as possible. And Margriet, the other thing we haven't mentioned, in South Africa, we know we have a huge divide between what people can afford in private healthcare and then what they're able to access in government healthcare, which is very overburdened and under-resourced. You know, the staff in those settings do amazing work, but with very, you know, very challenging circumstances. And the midwife model of care is far more financially accessible. It's just cheaper. It's cheaper to have, because we run at an 80% natural birth rate as opposed to an 80% cesarean section rate. So that has cost savings. You know, there's less equipment and medication and resources going in. And so it opens it to a far broader demographic of South Africans.
Exactly. Oh, I mean, you talk my language. No, it is, if we can just get it in everyone's understanding, right? And it doesn't have to be expensive and flashy, like it can be in a rural environment.
Absolutely.
Beautiful, low-risk birthing, let's buy midwives, and it'll be low resources. It's possible. So it's an exciting time for midwifery. It's an exciting time for these kind of ventures. We're backed up by WHO. I don't know if they've just released a framework for midwife-led, transitioning to midwife-led models of care. So thank you for what you're doing for midwifery.
Absolutely.
Not being, just making it happen. We midwives need that because we're so passionate about caring for the woman, but we need everyone of different capacities to see this vision and make it happen. So I'm very grateful for your laboring and your tears and your hard work and your perseverance and you know, and your vision. And I wish you all the best. I know it's going to be a success.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, we have such incredible midwives in Johannesburg, and all the support staff, the doulas, the doctors, everyone who's on board. It can only go from strength to strength.
It hasn't been for nothing. Like now you're still reaping from all the hard work you've put in there. Exactly. Because they're all coming back and with just bigger strength. Yeah. Amazing. Is there some final words you want to say to the audience? Where can they find out more about Genesis or stay connected?
Yeah, so we've started putting information out. We are genesis-clinic.co.za. And you can, if you are pregnant, you can put your details there and we'll send out regular updates. We'll let you know when we're ready to start taking bookings. It also has contact details if anyone is wanting to reach out in terms of jobs or being involved in the project. So, yeah. Love to hear from people in the community.
Amazing. Thank you so much. You can also reach out to us and we can pass it on to you. This is very exciting. And I really am hopeful that South Africa can benefit from more Genesis in every way.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
But we take it one step at a time.
One step at a time.
Yeah, we wish you all the best.
Thank you, Margriet.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. If you enjoyed this video, please share this with a friend who will benefit from this. And remember to subscribe and hit the bell icon so that you can be notified whenever we release new videos like this on our channel. We'd love to stay in touch and keep you updated with all our latest content and resources to equip and empower you. So if you're a midwife or any type of birth and baby worker, go to sensitivemidwifery.co.za/free gift. If you're a mom, visit sisterlillian.co.za/free gift for more training and resources. That way we can keep you up to date when we release new episodes like this, plus a few other bonuses. You can also find the links I just mentioned in the show notes. Remember, you're making a big difference because you are shaping the future of humankind. Thanks for watching and I look forward to journeying with you.